Hi, Linda Bell here. I am reaching out to those of you teaching Accounting 201 or Accounting 202 for Park University this fall semester. Recently, I attended an accounting educators conference and came upon a textbook with some course materials that I think might be a really good fit for our online students and probably all of our students, but in particular our online student population. And I'd like you to provide me some feedback whether it would be worthwhile to move to this other course material or whether we should just stay with what we've got. Um, no matter what, I will be revising Accounting 201 and 202 for fall 2017. The current plan is to move to the new edition of the Kimmel textbook that we currently use. That author has updated course materials in Wiley Plus. They've pretty much have gotten rid of the older videos that accompanied some of the homework assignments, and he has redone those. So they're a lot more sophisticated and just a much a better fit. When he does, and within those lectures, he completes it in Wiley Plus. So he's demonstrating a problem, and it'll look just like what the students will have to do in Wiley Plus. So I do like that will be a definite improvement to the courses. But the one thing this new material will have is actually lectures for everything in each chapter. And so that's what I want you to see and to kind of give me a feedback. Do our online students need these kind of lectures? So let me show you this course material. The book is called Fundamental Financial Accounting Concepts by Thomas Edmonds. And let's take a peek at the ebook. I was just in here earlier. Let me start all over. Here's chapter 1. And what I think is kind of interesting, so let's look at the role of society, is that students can either read or they can click on a lecture video for each learning
All right, this
objective
video we're going to talk about the role of accounting in society.
in the
And I know
chapter.
for a lot of you,
Let me
this is
turn it
your
up for
first
you.
accounting course, and for many of you, you probably have no idea what accountants actually do. And so in this video, we're going to attempt to answer that question. And to understand what accountants do, we really got to understand what businesses do and the role that businesses play in our economy. And so if you look at this diagram I have here, it's a real simple diagram. This kind of shows how businesses operate in our economy, and I've really oversimplified things, but hopefully this will give you a good idea. And the way this works is, if you look over here on the left, we got resource owners, and all of you guys are resource owners. And by resources, I mean could be financial resources
Let
like
me
cash. And that's the goal of a for-profit business, is to earn profits. So they sell their goods or services to consumers.
Okay, and let me stop that there. But I think, you can see he's interacting with his lecture just somewhat as if it was on a whiteboard, but a little more sophisticated than a whiteboard. So these are not PowerPoint lectures. They are where the lecturer is very much kind of interacting with this lecture, and it's not just, again, PowerPoint slides. So I really like that myself. So you can click on any section of the book and be able to find, to start out with that lecture video, or students can read that section. Let me go back to Role of Society, and you can see here's what that section of the ebook would look like, kind of going all the way through. And I'm not sure how, but supposedly as instructors we can go in and put notes in these books, but I'm not sure how to do that. We'll see if we even want to bother with it if we were to move this way. Okay, let's see, something else. Let me move to chapter 2. And another section. Okay, one thing in addition to that, there would be lectures. This is a different book. All, financial managerial textbooks, each author takes a little different spin and has their own little approach to things. So I do want to point out that this Edmonds textbook has a little bit different approach. Just like the Kimmel book, he does adopt this horizontal model, right? The balance sheet is horizontal, so that's why I call it the horizontal model. But this will be incorporated throughout the whole textbook. So every time there's a transaction, like here he has stock being issued, he will analyze that in terms of the balance sheet, what's the impact on the income statement, in this case not applicable. And what's unique, I think, about this book is he will always add in the statement of cash flows. So right from the get-go, students are determining cash flows, whether they're financing, investing, or operating. And that's incorporated throughout, so you can see the analysis here. Of course, he hasn't gotten into debits and credits, I don't believe, yet. Now, let me fast forward. Let's go look at Chapter 10. I had marked installment notes payable. So let's look at, fast forward in the book all the way to Chapter 10. Here we have a journal entry for borrowing money, and look right below it, he's going to do that horizontal model. And this will be repeated over and over all the way through the entire textbook. And by the way, I guess I should make a comment. Those of you for the 202, the managerial accounting, he also has a managerial accounting textbook. I'm just demonstrating the financial accounting book, but he also, we would, if we go with this, we would go with this for both financial and managerial principles courses. Anyhow, that's probably the really unique thing. His spin is this horizontal model and incorporating it. And I'm mentioning that because if we go and look at all the table of contents, it's pretty much the same chapters that we have with Kimmel. If you teach 202, we have moved the cash flow statement and financial statement analysis forward to the Accounting 202 course. And the full-time faculty, when I went over this with them, if we decide to do this, and again, I want to mention that's a big if, but if we did this, we might then just not cover the statement of cash flows because students really will be completing and thinking about the statement of cash flows throughout the whole book. And likewise, if we continue to incorporate ratios in all of these other chapters, it's an optional thing to do, just like the Kimmel book. So whether we go forward with the Kimmel book or we adopt the Edmonds book, in regards to this chapter 13, only it, not cash flow, but the chapter 13, we might consider tossing it out too and not covering it. Students get a standalone chapter on financial statement analysis in their financial management course, so we really don't have to cover that chapter. So anyhow, that would alleviate those two chapters and open up more time in the Accounting 202 course, either to cover our topics more in depth, give students more time, or add another chapter or so onto it. That would need to be decided. But anyhow, just a thinking ahead sort of thing. Okay, so that's the ebook and then the lectures that fit within it. But the lectures could be incorporated into an assignment. So there are some pre-built assignments that as a course developer I could go in, just preview those, and I could select them. And the lectures are included. So you can see I had just showed you, here's chapter 1. We have already looked at this before. And let me see, I had written in my notes, let's go look at this lecture. Okay, so this lecture.
All right, in this video I want to recap some of the transactions that we've already looked at and recorded. And you can see this is our video services company example. And in an earlier video we already recorded 5 of these transactions down here for year 1 into the accounting equation. We recorded these down here.
Okay, and so this is just kind of reviewing some things, and then he'll also get into, is this the thinking of assets or resources? So did resources come in? Did resources go out? So he kind of adds and thinks about things that way. And while I'm here, I also want to mention he keeps things very, very basic from the get-go. Notice chapter 1, I think the only two assets we'll see is cash. The only assets we will see are cash and land. He does not add in things like accounts receivable till we actually get to the accounts receivable chapter. So he is the author is rather conscientious and really tries not to confuse students. You're not going to see debt securities as an asset in chapter 1, or if you have an illustration in the book, they'll be just real basic sort of things. Anyhow, the point being, students can watch this lecture. Notice this one's only 4 minutes long, and there can be these assessments that can be assigned to see that they actually watched it. This assessment, you can see these following questions are multiple choice. And by the way, he kind of gets into the asset use, asset resource sort of thing throughout. So I could do that, or let me jump to question 48. Or there can actually be a big problem. Obviously, all this would be blank for the student copy, but there could actually, there are also problems that could be assigned. So students could watch a lecture video and then immediately go do the same, not the exact same thing, but something similar themselves. So I did want to point that out. Okay, so let me just end this session with, just a recap. What I'm really wondering and would like to know from you is this worthwhile enough? I mean, is it cost benefit is, I guess, really the question. There would be, developing a whole new course materials is require quite a bit of effort. I would be doing that, so that's not something for you to factor in. I would be taking the lead on that and doing the work on that, but at the same time, even though I do that, you will be involved some, because you've got to deliver the course. And so you're going to have to learn, connect, or at least connect enough that, I hope to be able to guide you through it, but it would be moving over. And it's also moving over to a little bit structured textbook. He has a heavier emphasis on the financial statements. You can see the balance sheet, the income statement, and cash flow that is there's always a direct link between transactions and the financial statements all the way through. There's some attention to debits and credits. Keep in mind the large majority of our student population in the courses are not accounting majors. And so if you are questioning how's this going to impact students going into intermediate, I really would say don't worry about it, because I'll cover it in the Intermediate 1, debits and credits heavily up front in the Intermediate 1 course. I have created lectures for intermediate accounting. I thought those were really critical for those students. I did not have time to be able to do it when I developed the 201 and 202 courses. I would have liked to have done that. The problem I face as a course developer is that I have to type up transcripts of each lecture. That is enormously time consuming. So that happened for the intermediate courses. I don't know. I don't know that the cost benefit that I would go through all the effort of recording a lecture and then either I've got to type it up or I have to find somebody to type it up. That's really challenging for me to find somebody who is willing to do that, if that is even possible. So I don't look for me to personally create lectures for the 201, 202 courses. So my question for you then, is this worth pursuing? Should I pilot this course material in my own courses at Parkville this coming spring? And I only want to do that if you see real potential. Do you think these lectures would be of real value to our online students? So I appreciate hearing your feedback.